Okay. My name is Luisandro Hernandez, and I'm here to talk to you about lane splitting and why it should be legalized in Texas as well as in the United States. So, how many of you guys have been stuck in traffic wondering, how do I make it flow faster? How do I reduce the amount of time it takes me to get somewhere? And right next to you, you see a motorcyclist, and you see the amount of space he takes up. It's very inefficient, and it's only costing people more time in their day to spend in traffic. Well, I have a solution for you. That solution is lane splitting. I believe lane splitting should be implemented in the United States and in Texas especially, for the main fact that it gives motorcyclists a dedicated lane where they can ride to move to the front of the line, or to keep moving and keep the flow of traffic going. First off, lane splitting is only legalized in California. That's the only place in the United States where it has been legalized. Everywhere else does not specify or is illegal. However, there have been other countries such as Spain, Italy, and Germany, as well as India, that have adopted and legalized lane splitting due to excessive motorcycles and excessive traffic. Lane splitting. What is it? Lane splitting is when a motorcycle rider rides between two cars, generally along the dotted line, in just a way that is only dedicated for them. It is mostly just for two-wheeled vehicles. So I'm here to tell you guys about benefits and why they should legalize it. First off, the first benefit is they take off less space. Think about it. You're in a traffic jam, you're at a stoplight, and you see a motorcyclist taking up a whole car length of space. You can reduce that by having him get in between the cars, go up to the front, and ultimately compress that traffic. And eventually, you will be able to reduce traffic by allowing more cars to be packed into the single lanes and having motorcycles in that dedicated lane. Second is it reduces overheating and breaking down of motorcycles. The reason for that is because motorcycles are small cars. However, they are not equipped with the same cooling elements that cars do. They do not have big fans that keep them cool. Bikes do overheat a lot, especially in the summer months. And think about it, it's a hazard. Why allow a motorcyclist who is in heavy traffic, his bike breaks down, it's only going to cause more traffic jam. It's only going to make things worse. It's only going to increase to your time to get to your destination. That is why they should allow this law, because it allows motorcyclists to filter through traffic and keep moving at a steady and slow pace, but just enough to not overheat, but not enough to be a real danger to anybody else. Third, it's safer. Lane splitting ultimately is a better way for motorcycle riders to stay safe. The reason for that, which most people have not seen because they do not ride motorcycles, is you are riding in between cars. There was a report, the 1981 Hertz report, where they found out that 2/3 of motorcycle accidents are caused by rear ends from cars. Cars are rear-ending these motorcycle riders because they are a smaller imprint and it's harder to see, and it's easier to be more distracted and to miss smaller things. And it turns out, in those 2/3 of motorcycle accidents, most of them are rear ends. So what that means is, it's the driver that is at fault, not the motorcycle rider. So lane splitting reduces the amount of risk you have when riding a motorcycle, because you are in between two cars, and because you are in between two cars and not behind the car behind you, if let's say it is somebody who is not paying attention, who is on their phone, and he rear-ends you, if you're behind that car, you're going to get squashed. You're going to have that car pushing you behind, and that car in front of you will serve as a wall, and you'll be generally being squished. However, if you're in between them, the other car next to you will take most of the impact, and you might take a small little blow, but it'll be way better than getting the full-on blow. So I'm here to tell you about the motorcyclist's point of view, what they see, because I am a motorcycle rider, and I know I can basically vouch for this, because I have seen it, I have been through it. First off, who is in more risk, the driver or the motorcycle rider? The driver has a full-on cage full of protection and crimple bars that will protect them in case of an accident. That is not the case with a motorcyclist. Motorcyclist, you have about 2 feet of space on your left and right, just like this, and 5 feet in total for your motorcycle to take the blow. And after that, your body takes the blow. So there is an increased risk for motorcycle riders, which encourages them to be safe when they are riding. They will not be as distracted as somebody who's in a car, because I'm pretty sure you have seen it, where you see a lot of people texting and driving, talking and driving, not being excellent drivers, being a hazard, just barely surviving, hitting you. So who do you think is going to pay more attention? The person that is at risk or the person that is not at risk? Have you ever seen a motorcyclist text? No. Have you ever seen a driver text? Yes. You know that because they have that added safety, they will be more inclined to be more reckless. So that's why I believe if we allow this law to pass, it'll serve for protection for us motorcyclists. A study in California found that it is a good way to be safe, because in California they have it legalized, and they found out that California versus Florida and Texas, individual states which have the same geography of roads, or very similar roads, California had 30% less motorcycle accidents due to lane splitting. So there you go. You have a statistic right there stating that motorcyclists are safer when it comes to lane splitting. That alone should be enough why to implement this law, because it saves lives. What's more important than a human life? Not only does it save human lives, but also it saves time. It makes traffic more efficient. So why should we not implement a law that will save people time, save people's lives, and ultimately make the roads safer in the United States? I've had this experience once where my motorcycle overheated and I was in traffic. I had to get out of my way to push my motorcycle off to the side of the road, being a hazard to those around me. Not just to myself, but to the car drivers in front too. I feel if lane splitting was legalized, that wouldn't have happened. I would have been able to keep moving along a steady pace, at a safe, reasonable pace, in between cars, getting the airflow I need for my bike so it does not overheat in the hot summer months. I'm going to talk to you guys about lane sharing, lane splitting. So the difference between lane sharing and lane splitting is lane sharing is just how it sounds. You are sharing the lane. If you're riding with another person, you have 2 bikes or 3 bikes take up a single car space, which is way more efficient. I believe that could be a better alternative too, to reduce traffic. Instead of having bikes in a single line take up all that space and have all that wasted space along there. So now I'm going to demonstrate to you how little space or protection you have on a motorcycle. Let me see. Okay. So this is my 2019 dirt bike. It is not the same thing as the street bikes that we have out there, but it comes pretty close. So, as you can see, the bike is almost about the same as me. I only have about 5 feet, no, I only have about 3 feet and 3 feet in the back. Getting rear-ended would definitely cause me to get hurt and be receive most of the impact. My little bike compared to a 2,000-pound car, this is not safe, and it would not definitely go well. The reason for this is why we should allow lane splitting. Motorcycle riders are in increased risk, and we know it. So you should allow us to have control over our risk. Isn't that anybody's the same? Wouldn't anybody else rather have the power to, excuse me? Wouldn't anybody else want to have the power to protect themselves, to have that power to make sure to reduce your risk, basically, and that's what lane sharing does. Lane sharing reduces your risk overall. It will save lives, and that alone, I believe, is a big impact and why we should allow it to be legalized in Texas, in the United States. Saving lives should, of course, be ultimate and the first priority, and I believe that if we allow lane splitting to go, it'll not only save lives, it'll reduce traffic, and over time, when people are riding and more used to lane splitting, there will be less accidents due to it. Because having a dedicated lane for a motorcycle rider makes it safer, makes it better in general for everybody, not just the motorcycle riders. But safety does play a big part on it. And I feel I can't stress that